are live.
We are live. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for everyone for coming here tonight. My name is Dr. Banwatt. I'm board certified in internal medicine and more recently lifestyle medicine. This is Naomi Green, our certified vegan lifestyle coach and educator. So this evening's talk was actually aimed mostly at participants in the Great Highlander Weight Loss Challenge. I'd like to have a hands up on who's here for the challenge. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you're doing the weight loss challenge. Okay. Very good. Okay. So let's start. So this is the overall agenda for tonight. We're going to find out why everyone here is here, so find out how we can best help you, and I'll give you some insight as to why we're doing this, why there's an obesity epidemic in this country at this point, how a plant-based diet and calorie density diet can help in weight loss. Naomi is going to share with us some plant-based success stories. We'll have a break. There's a lot of science that I want to present, and Naomi was warning me that it's too much, but I'm going to present that at the end so that anyone who is, wanting to leave at that point can do so. But that's the part that really grabs me. So, but it is a lot of information, so I'm going to put that at the end.
The point about the science is that everything we're talking about tonight is evidence-based. This is not what I think is cool. This is not what Dr. Banwatt wants to tell you. This is what the evidence base tells us. So that's why we want to share that with you.
Absolutely. All right, so let's start with why everyone's here. Could you just give us your names and if you're with the hospitals and what is your reason for being here tonight, if it's weight loss or if it's something else?
I'll start. I am here for 2 reasons. I have rheumatoid arthritis and I'm on lots of expensive medicine, and I am a medicine person. I don't have any problems taking medicine, but I want to kind of play around with other options. My significant other has high blood pressure. He's very healthy, very active, very healthy. Been having some swelling in his feet, and the doctor can't seem to find the right blood pressure fix for him as far as medicine goes. He will be embroiled in tax season for the next 4 months, so he cannot participate because he knows he won't follow anything just because it's so crazy. But I can prepare things that maybe will help a little bit for him. So that's my reason.
Very good.
So, hold on. So this way of eating is incredibly anti-inflammatory, and we'll be talking about that as we go, and as well as the evidence for how it reduces blood pressure. So those are 2 of the things that you touched on.
Actually, I did prepare blood pressure. I did not focus on the anti-inflammatory.
That's
fine. I can talk
but
about
yes,
that.
I think Naomi can speak to that. All right, Karen?
Okay, well, I'm Karen, so I'm here because I'm overweight again, and although I'm vegan, I stress eat, and I when I'm busy and I'm not home, I tend to go for the convenience food, the vegan junk food. You can eat. There's vegan, and then there's whole food plant-based, which is healthy, right? And
Yeah,
so
big difference.
I mean, yes, it's still vegan is still healthier, but it's not whole food plant-based, which is where I want to be. And sometimes I think I just need support. I need like a group. I need.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay.
Melissa?
My name is Melissa. I'm here for weight loss, but I have high blood pressure, and I do follow pretty much a plant-based diet, not a vegan diet. But I just can't get the weight off, so I'm doing the weight loss challenge.
Okay. Super. Hi, you got your name. Okay.
Hi, I've been vegan for 2 years. I have a history of high blood pressure. I refuse to take medication, and currently starting to have swelling in my feet. I've been told I have a fatty liver, and no one has really expanded on it and do my own research. I think that the fatty liver is interfering with my spike in high sugar lately, and these other symptoms. I want to start exercising and get on a healthy track.
So let me put one thing out there straight away. If you can control your blood pressure with lifestyle changes and diet modification, absolutely that is first line. but don't not treat your high blood pressure because you don't like pills, because it's not worth having a stroke or a heart attack.
Okay. Thank you.
And I wanted to address the fatty liver question. I'll be showing you a success story of a woman whose doctor told her she had fat surrounding all her organs and a fatty liver, and she'll tell you her story.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marta, and I am a type 2 diabetic. I also have high blood pressure. I recently I did a lab with my hormones, and I'm deficient in progesterone and what was that one? Cortisol, which is new to me. I've never heard of low cortisol. The reason why I'm here is because I need to be part of a community that is thinking the same way. And me being Hispanic, I get a lot of backlash because I want to not eat meat, so it's hard. So I need to find somewhere where I fit in, and then I can teach my family how to eat better. But my biggest concern is that I was adopted at the age of 2, so I have no family history, and I want to kind of reverse my diabetes. I've done it before. I was a vegetarian for 2 years, then vegan, and I fell back into eating meat again and processed food.
It's super that you're here, and absolutely, I think with a plant-based diet, you can control your diabetes. I want to show you some great slides on trials where they've shown 80% cure of diabetes with diet. Okay.
And I'm going to show you some success stories of people who have reduced their A1C and reduced their glucose levels way down into the normal levels and gotten off of insulin and all kinds of diabetes medications. You've been a member of my Going Vegan for Health group for a long time. You've probably seen some of those success stories.
Yeah.
And you'll be happy to know that tonight we're going to be serving a rice and bean burrito bowl that you're going to love, so you can take that recipe home to your family. Yeah.
Very good.
I don't have one.
It's okay.
It's Bobby.
Bobby.
Hi,
My
Bobby.
name is Bobby, and I created the American Wellness Alliance. It's a group of individuals that want to learn about plant food and how to change their lifestyle.
Are you local here?
Yeah, right down the street.
Okay, good.
I do this myself also. I've been researching a book I've been writing, and that comes out next month. It's all on alternative health, and I need to get back on track with the plant food and
Yeah.
take care of
Welcome.
some of my own issues.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Steve.
Steve.
Thank you, Naomi, for inviting me tonight.
You're in the right place.
Yes, hopefully, I'm here for information, but I want to get some weight off. I'm a type 2 diabetic for about 18 years. I also got Crohn's disease, which, this is where I want to get, I was telling you today, I want to get educated, what I can do, because it's plant-based, and I gotta be, I know in the past, I had to be careful with the greens and the nuts and stuff like that, so.
A lot of that is fallacy, actually.
Okay, well, that's why I'm here tonight, to get educated.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, once you leave out the inflammatory animal foods and the highly allergic dairy foods and all of the junk food and the processed food, then the histamine response, that allergic, that inflammatory response in your gut starts to simmer down. You find you can eat more and more things. And the way you get around the Crohn's disease is you make a list of what plant foods can you eat, and you just start there. So you don't worry about, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. We just do it.
My name is Pam, and my blood pressure is creeping up. I've tried to go vegan so many times. It's just that I don't have a lot of time to be.
Because Pam is my tennis friend.
Learning how to recook.
Wait, is that what you did to her?
Yeah.
I didn't do it to her.
She beat
It was
her,
an
so
ace.
she broke her wrist.
I'm having a hard time learning how to recook. You know, it's so easy to go home and throw something on the grill, and I just don't have the time. But with my stress level and my blood pressure creeping up, I've got to do something.
Well, as I iterated before, if you can, absolutely lifestyle and diet changes to bring your blood pressure down, that's the best way to go. But if your blood pressure is not coming down, it is not worth having a stroke or a heart attack. So please make sure you get it treated and then work on the lifestyle and then get off the medications.
So go on the medication.
If you need to, depending how bad it is. So I mean, I'm not your physician,
Yeah.
so you have to decide with your physician. Yeah.
I cut when my blood pressure's low, I cut my pill because I hate taking my blood pressure pill.
If you blood pressure's low, you don't need
You
blood
don't
pressure
need it,
pills.
but
Right.
I have a kidney disease, so I still have to monitor it. So if it's high, I still have to take it, cause I don't wanna ruin my organs any more than they are. So,
Absolutely.
you know, I know you don't wanna take pills for blood pressure, but the way my doctor explained it, do you wanna live?
Yeah.
I said, yes. He goes, so we're gonna live in a half pill lifestyle. You wanna be good, you take a half pill. You wanna be bad, you take a whole pill. But regardless, you have to take a pill to control it.
Controlling it is important.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't read that.
Miguel.
Miguel? Hi,
Yeah.
Miguel. Thanks
That's
for
my
coming.
yoga friend.
Ah, yeah, he's looking fit.
Isn't he?
I just gain information. I would like to work my way toward vegan and learn a little bit about the digestive system if you're gonna cover that today.
Very good.
Cover
And
the gut, yeah.
Laura,
Laura? Okay, and what brings you here tonight?
just wanting to know more about, eating vegan.
Plant-based diet?
I'm vegan now, but I
Right.
really just started, so,
How'd you hear about this tonight?
on your website.
Oh.
I don't need to lose weight, but I follow your page.
Oh, what's your name?
Laura Fowl.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You know what? I never know if people are in Spring Hill or not if I can't tell from their profile. You gotta speak up. Nice to meet you. Glad you're here.
All right, very good. Thank you.
What
So,
about Michelle? Did you speak up?
No.
Oh, yeah,
Let's hear
that's right.
Michelle.
Michelle's
Hi.
here.
And I'm here tonight because I wanted to learn how to incorporate the vegetables and whatnot. My mom was on Weight Watchers forever, so I've always ate in that scheme of food, but I'd like to go more plant-based
Okay.
and having high cholesterol, yeah.
So just, we're gonna give the big picture view tonight. The details, that's very extensive and that would take, more time, and I think that's where groups, et cetera, will be very useful. But we're gonna deal in general principles and why it's worth doing.
And I will be able to direct you, because those books are written by the plant-based experts who have done this research and treated their patients clinically this way. And, according to this evidence base, and I can point you toward information about your specific conditions and things like that. So if you want that more, to learn more and see more of the medical evidence and see how it works clinically, come and talk to me afterwards. Yes.
I just have to mention, I was on metformin for diabetes, and I discontinued it myself, and I wound up having a stroke. So I just wanted to let everybody know, you can't just stop your medication.
No, you must work with your doctor.
Yeah.
This is not something that you do without the medication that your doctor has prescribed. We're
Right.
very clear on that,
Right.
Dr.
But
Banwatt.
I'm not anti-medication. I'd rather not take it if I don't have to.
Well,
And that's
now
where
I'm
we wanna
trying
get to.
off of it by plant food.
Hmm?
I'm trying to get off of all my medication through plant food gradually.
That's
I'd
absolutely.
love for Dr. Banwatt to tell you his story about how he found plant food.
Well, let me just shoot through now. I've got a lot of slides and stuff, so I'm going to move fairly quickly. So, I was aiming this talk mostly at people who are overweight. So it turns out that 70% of people in the US now, adults in the US now, overweight or obese. So you can see that since the 1960s, a trend, especially obesity in men, and this is extreme obesity, BMI over 40, it's almost like 5 to 6 times what it was back in the 60s. Same thing for women. The obese category is going up, but so is the extremely obese. You just didn't used to see a lot of people in that category in the past. What's the problem? Well, a lot of people try dieting, but 85% of people who go on diets end up gaining their weight back within 2 years. So there's many diets which are successful, so you can get there, but it's staying there which is the problem.
Yeah.
And many people bounce back because they go back to their previous diet and lifestyle.
So I just want to interject for a minute. We are streaming live, and we have a bunch of people watching.
Oh, God.
Christine is here, Sharon is here, Fabiola is here, Rita, you know Rita from our potlucks. Jean is watching.
Hi, Rita.
Yeah, hi Rita. All right, everybody, this is Dr. Banwatt. Go ahead and continue.
Okay, if there's anyone who wants to share what they've tried in the past and why do they think it failed?
Diets you've tried in the past.
For weight loss.
Yeah.
I quit eating all the whites for a while, but then I had a car accident because I bottomed out and I got scared.
Okay. And
Why'd you get
Have you
scared?
tried
What
it
does a
before
car
you pass
accident
any
have to do
diets or
with-
anything?
I don't know, I just can't go back on it.
Right, Weight
Okay.
Watchers.
Weight Watchers. And so, why do diets fail? Failure to accept that it's the health habits have to be long-term changes. A lot of people think in short term, oh, I'm going to go on a diet and then I can eat anything I want. Well, of course, the moment they go back to eating anything they want, the weight goes back to where it was. Unsustainable diets, the crazy keto diets, etc., which will work. People lose a lot of weight with those diets, and they're very much in vogue, and it's all in the social media and press. But those are not healthy diets. Food deprivation, so portion controls, just cut down the amount that you're eating. Sure, you can do that for a while as long as your willpower lasts out, but eventually it will give out, and then you get a rebound, and then you go crazy, and you eat, and the weight comes back. People unwilling to change their level of activity, because activity is important, although diet is number one by far. So if you're trying to lose weight, you have to focus on the diet primarily. Not addressing stress, sleep, alcohol, those are all very important factors. And then getting support and motivation to keep you going long term, which is what you were saying.
You guys were mentioning about the support.
So your weight is a reflection of your lifestyle, all of those factors, and if those are not in line, then this is what you get. So why are we here? So let me tell you about myself. I'm 2 years ago.
You won't believe this.
I had an MI. So
Well, for
what
those
is
of us
that?
who don't know.
heart attack. I had a heart attack. So I was at home, Martin Luther King Day, crushing chest pain, 10 out of 10. I could barely talk or think. I got on the phone, called the ambulance. Thank God they whipped me to Oak Hill Hospital. I got a stent put in. I thought, great, I'm fixed. But actually, I'm not fixed. And so the
Big
reality is
fallacy.
that these are warnings, and one should heed these warnings and change what you're doing. Why did I end up with a heart attack? Actually, still a little bit of a mystery to me. I wasn't very overweight. The blood pressure was up a little. No diabetes, no cholesterol. But here I was, a bunch of stress.
I want to address that,
Mm.
along with a stressful lifestyle. Everybody it's very personal, and everybody has a different tipping point in their own body. Somebody can be very, very overweight, hundreds of pounds overweight, but not have type 2 diabetes. And somebody else can look like this and have high glucose levels, or high cholesterol, or high blood pressure that they cannot control. So it doesn't always have to do with obesity, although it does usually go hand in hand. I want to point out that it's personal for everybody, and you need to listen to your body's signals telling you. Go ahead.
Did you have any atherosclerosis?
Well, I mean, that is what causes your heart attack. What you get is you get the plaque formation in the inside of your arteries, and what happens with the heart attack is you get what they call a plaque rupture, and then on top of that you get a blood clot which blocks the vessel, and then the heart distal to that is getting no blood supply, and that part of the heart gets damaged. Now, if you're lucky like I was, you get into the hospital, they put a catheter in, they open up the vessel, put a stent in, and restore the blood supply so that there's no permanent damage, right? But the underlying factors which caused that to happen in the first place are still there. So if you don't address them, then it's a problem. So
It'll
I have
continue to
patients with
progress.
heart attacks who won't quit smoking, all right, who won't change their diet, who won't try and lose weight. I think it's a warning, and I certainly wanted to pay heed to it. But what I wanted to share with you is what I didn't learn in my medical training. And this was a trial, and I'm going to dash into the science. If I'm boring you, let me know. So this was a trial by Dr. Dean Ornish back in 1990, and this was the first trial where they showed that actually you can reverse coronary artery disease. Up till that point, everyone thought once you had heart disease, you had it for life, and that's it, and you have to be on medicine forever. All right? He showed that with lifestyle changes that you can actually decrease the amount of plaque. So this was the percentage blockage in the arteries, and it actually went down. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that actually is quite a significant percentage in terms of flow. But the amazing thing is that within the first month, 90% of people no longer had angina. So these people were getting frequent chest pains. 90% had no angina within a month of starting a plant-based diet. you cannot even get rid of the plaque within that space of time. There's other factors that are involved. Let me show you another one. This was a trial by Dr. Esselstyn. He took 198 patients with end-stage coronary artery disease. People said, there's nothing more we can do for you, you know, you just have to wait to die. And he took them, put them on a whole food, plant-based diet, followed them for 3.5 years. Now, of those patients, 21 could not stick with a plant-based diet. Of those people, 62% ended up having further cardiac events, further heart attacks or angina. And then of the people, 177 who stuck with the diet, only 0.6%, that's a 100-fold difference in the experience of further cardiac episodes that they had. Here's another trial where they took 123 patients and they put them on a plant-based diet, and 91% of them showed regression of their coronary artery disease. A plant-based diet is powerful. They don't teach us this in our regular medical training, okay? So if you go to a hospital and you get a heart attack, you're going to get a whole bunch of pills, nobody's going to tell you about going on a plant-based diet. And that's the tragedy, and that's why I'm here today speaking to you.
And that's important that you know that, because most people go to their doctor and they expect that their doctor knows this information, and they do not.
They do not. It's
and
not,
he's telling you they do
it is
not.
not part of our medical training.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dietitians aren't even educated.
No.
No, they're
So
not.
the dietitians are actually heavily influenced by the food industry, believe it or not. And a lot of their training is kind of slanted towards what the food industry wants them to
Yes.
say.
I work in a
sugar.
dialysis center
Yeah.
with the interdisciplinary team. You know, I'm like, why don't you direct them this way? No. And
I'm going to show you a couple of other facts about heart disease. In Uganda, coronary artery disease is almost non-existent. Their cholesterol levels are around 145. In America, the average cholesterol level is around 208, except in American vegans, who they're the only people who manage to get their cholesterol levels
So
down that low.
208 is out of range. It's high. So
Yeah.
if the average cholesterol in America is high, something's wrong with that.
Right.
That's wrong.
So this is from the China study by T. Colin Campbell, and in one of the counties in China, where there was literally 250,000 males, for 3 years there was not a single heart attack. Why? It's diet. It's not genetics. The Chinese are now adopting more of a Western diet. Their rates of coronary artery disease are coming right up.
This is the China study, the book written by Dr. Caldwell, by Dr. T.
Campbell.
Colin Campbell. And so you can read more about this study that he's talking about in this book. It's that big of a study.
Yeah, and he has a lot to say about protein
So
and cancer.
much,
So
yes.
that's worth reading. So about 75% of heart attack patients in this country have a cholesterol within the so-called normal range. And the problem with that is that the current guidelines may not be low enough. If people in Uganda are having an average cholesterol of 145, in China 120, ours are around 200.
200.
And we say, oh, you're under
Fine.
200, you're
Fine.
fine. It's not fine. That's 75% of people with heart attacks have a so-called normal cholesterol for this country.
And it's not fine.
This is a graph which shows that how your bad cholesterol, the LDL, the rate of progression of the plaque in your arteries depends on how high your LDL level is. So they took the data from multiple studies and they did what they call a regression line, which shows that when you get your LDL level down to less than 70, that you will not get any further progression of your coronary artery disease. So for me, that was my aim. So that is why I adopted a plant-based diet. So this is a quote from Dr. William Roberts. He's editor-in-chief of the American Heart Journal. For plaque progression to cease, it appears the serum cholesterol needs to be lower than 150. He's talking about total cholesterol here. He's not talking about LDL, but total. In other words, the total cholesterol must be lower to that of the average pure vegetarian. However, because few people in this country are willing to abide by the vegetarian lifestyle, lipid-lowering drugs are required. So if you won't do the diet, you're going to have to take the drugs. But the point is, he's saying that if you adopt the diet, you don't have to have the drugs. But don't go off the way I told you, doctors. All right?
And when we say the word diet, we're not talking about a typical restriction way of eating tiny portions and restriction like that. When we say diet, we mean way of eating, lifestyle.
The type of
That's
food
what
you-
we're talking about.
So I'm going to skip over this one. So this is my Fitbit.
Quick question.
Yes.
Back to cholesterol.
Yes.
The ratio between good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, does that come
Yes.
into play, or?
It does. So there's multiple variables within the cholesterol, but if you go on a plant-based diet, your total is going to come down, your LDL is going to come down, and most of the time your HDL is going to go up. So it tends to all go together.
I want to address that quickly as well. A lot of people, tend to go off on tangents about, oh, my HDLs and my LDLs and this and that. Focus on the total cholesterol and get that down first. Don't go off on all kinds of tangents and confuse yourself and get all in there. Start at the top and then work your way down. That's what I tell most people, my clients.
Yeah. Having said that, I have patients who do have borderline high cholesterol, but their good cholesterols are very high. But those are few and far between. So for the general population, I don't want to confuse the issue. Just get your total down.
Yeah.
So this was my weight on my Fitbit. So once I adopted a plant-based diet at the beginning of 2018, I lost about 30 pounds, and I wasn't that heavy to begin with. I'm kind of slipping here a little bit. I've got to get back on track. All right.
Somebody
so-
hit that man.
So this is going to talk about something different here. Cigarette smoking. So as you see, this was the number of deaths from cigarette smoking, and increased up till that point when they finally, the Surgeon General said, yes, this is bad for you. It took 6,000 studies which proved that smoking was killing people before the Surgeon General finally acted. And then finally the rates of lung cancer started coming down.
So that's why you don't hear about this. That's one reason.
So the point that I'm trying to make with this is that the standard American diet is not normal, it is not healthy. The American obsession with meat and protein is misplaced and is the root cause of many of our problems, all right? We have the data to show why we're having these problems. We know what the solution is. But you're not going to see the action from the government. So don't wait for the government to put warning labels on your bacon and sausages before you change your diet. We have the evidence. It is incontrovertible at this point. Okay? So make the changes now. Okay? So in fact, with all modern healthcare, etc., believe it or not, the average life expectancy at birth for the first time in the last 2 years has actually gone down, which tells us that our medical system cannot reverse what we're doing wrong with our diets. Okay? So don't expect that the medical system you can do what you like and the medical system is going to save you. No, your diet and your lifestyle is actually more important and trumps medications by far.
It's an 80-20 thing. That 80-20 rule?
Rates of cancer continue to go up. Heart disease, aren't we having great success with heart disease? Well, actually, around that time is when the smoking rates came down. And now, in fact, heart disease deaths are starting to increase again. Diet, all of this. Okay? So why are we having an obesity epidemic? I'm going to give you the answer at the beginning since we're running short on time. So the modern diet is tricking our built-in mechanisms for pleasure and satiety, and that is resulting in excess calorie intake. Okay, so what's the end result? If you're taking too many calories, you're going to put it on the weight. That's all. Your body's going to store it as fat. All right? There's a great book by Dr. Lyle and Goldhammer which explains it. It's called The Pleasure Trap,
Which I have over there.
where he talks about these instincts which we have developed through evolution, which help us to survive. And he's actually broken those down into what they call the motivational triad: the pursuit of pleasure, the avoidance of pain, the conservation of energy. So when you are being lazy and you don't feel like doing anything, actually
That's what it is.
that was part of your genetic makeup, because if you were wasting energy in a calorie restricted environment, you would be wasting that energy, and you would actually that would be detrimental to you. So there is what we call the pleasure center in the brain, and when you do certain things, your pleasure center rewards you by producing more dopamine, okay? So in the early human brain in its current form developed at about 100,000 years ago in an environment of scarcity, okay? There was a survival advantage to carbohydrates, fats, and salts, which were all rare. So the more you ate of those, the more likely you were to survive.
Notice
So-
how it's not meat.
So-
Doesn't say meat.
So don't feel bad that you want sweet things, that you want certain things. You know, fried foods. Everything tastes great when it's fried, right? So you are genetically programmed that way. But the problem is that you're not in a prehistoric environment. In that environment, they mostly plants, some meat. The plants had lots of fiber and bulk, which filled them up, and they knew when to stop eating. The meat that they had when they had it was relatively low in terms of fat quantity. Now, so let me skip that one. So now what has happened? So humans have got smart. So, oh, this thing tastes sweet, so let me extract the sugar out of it. Instead of eating the whole fruit, now we're just going to take that portion of it, which gives us the pleasure. They're going to take the sugar out of it, right? Let's refine the carbohydrates and turn them into cakes and cookies. And
Take the fiber out of it.
take the fiber out
The
of
fiber,
it.
the part that you need.
Take the oils and add those to other foods. What are you doing here? You're concentrating calories, you're removing nutrients. That is the problem with processed foods and refined foods, okay? The meat that people are eating are much higher in fat now. I'm not advocating meat, but just understand that that the meat that we're eating now is not the same as what it was on an evolutionary basis. So we have high calorie foods and meat now easily available and in excess. You don't get full up as easily because the fiber is gone, right? And so what happens? You end up overeating. So
And you're eating a lot of oils and sugars which don't fill you up at all.
right.
Thousands of calories of oil.
So this is a brain scan showing these dopamine receptors in the pleasure center, and this is the red part is where the dopamine receptors. So that's the normal receptors. Now, if you're a cocaine addict and you've been giving yourself lots of cocaine, what happens? Your receptors, what they call down-regulate. You have fewer receptors. So as you see, there's very little red in here.
Needs more and more cocaine to feel good.
Right. So to get pleasure now, this cocaine addict is going to have more and more stimulation.
And the same thing.
Now, look at this scan in an obese patient. Why has it gone down here? It's this stuff. Sugar. Sugar is as addictive as cocaine, supposedly, but it certainly has the same effect in the brain. So now what this person, when they eat something sweet, it's going to taste sweet, but it's not going to be that as much. So what are they going to do? They're going to eat more of it, right?
Another little problem is the processed foods that we eat today are super sweet, super fatty, super salty, and so your pleasure center, your taste buds are acclimated way up here,
So
that when you eat an apple, it does not taste good and sweet to you.
Right.
And that's the problem with the food also that we're eating today.
food manufacturers
They do it on
know
purpose.
what you want.
They know.
You want the sugar, you want the oil, you want the salt.
And you'll be addicted to it.
So that's what they put in all the foods, and they concentrate them so that you'll buy and eat more of it, okay? To the point that, as you say, natural foods don't taste good anymore because they're never going to match those in terms of the intensity of the flavors.
Everybody I work with has an adjustment period where you have to retrain your taste buds. Your taste buds have to down-regulate or up-regulate
Yeah.
to where the whole plant foods taste good. And once that happens, that's where the magic is.
Right.
Because then you start craving Brussels sprouts and kale and quinoa and sweet potatoes and all kinds of amazing food that reverses disease on the inside.
Right, it'll start tasting good, but
Tastes
there is
so
an
good.
adjustment
Right,
period.
Karen?
It does, yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the principle of calorie density, otherwise known as volumetrics.
Which I
This
mentioned about the oil.
Jeff Novick was one of the principal proponents of this. So calorie density is the simplest approach to healthfully eating lifelong weight management. So what is it? Calorie density is the number of calories in a given weight of food, and usually expressed as calories per pound. And between the high and low calorie density foods, there can be up to a 40-fold difference. So that means that essentially, if you interpret that, you could eat 40 times as much of a low calorie density food as you could of a high calorie density. Well, which one's going to fill you up more? And we're going to see some examples of that. So give us examples of a calorie density. So broccoli here, so 128 calories for a pound, oranges to 11. So all these in green are relatively low calorie density.
You'll notice that everything on this table is in the low calorie density aisle, but that it's going to be delicious. You see.
Sometimes people are actually surprised to see baked potato here, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Actually, if you have a baked potato,
People think potatoes are fattening.
they are fattening if you put butter,
sour
cream cheese, all the dressings, all those kinds of
and
things.
eat it with meat.
Now, if you try eating a baked potato by itself, you're not going to actually be able to eat too much of it, and it's going to fill you up, and
it's
you're not going to get
I love
overweight.
it like that.
Yeah.
What's that?
I love it plain.
Yeah.
Right, well, okay, that's good. All right, so then you're getting on to more higher calorie density foods. So these are the processed grains over here. Getting on to the junk foods. Almonds, but aren't almonds healthy? Yes, they are healthy, but if you have too much of them, you can put in a whole bunch of calories. Same for olive oil. Oh, but olive oil is good for you.
No.
You are going to put in relative to other oils, it's healthier. But if you're trying to control your weight, if you're trying to control your cholesterol and your triglycerides, you want to cut down the oils because you are putting in a lot of calories very easily. So let's take a look at that. So 400 calories of oil is going to just fill up your stomach a little bit. Maybe chicken here, it's going to be a little bit higher volume. 400 calories of vegetables and you are full up. You're not going to be able to eat anymore,
I
right?
want to address this oil thing. So you might be thinking, oh, I just use a little bit of oil, right? No, okay, I know this as a fact because I did a test myself. And you can go home and do this too. Next time you cook something and you start to saute in oil, you know how you got your pan and you go in like this with the oil in the pan?
Yeah.
Measure how many tablespoons that is. A tablespoon is 120 calories of pure fat that you're adding. And next time you put your salad dressing on and you're doing this with the salad dressing, measure how much that is. And that's without eating out, without having any processed food, and without using oil and anything else. So when I did it myself, it turned out to be like 700 calories of oil. So
You can, it's very easy to take too many calories in when
And
you're dealing with high calorie density
and it has
foods.
no nutrition. There is no nutrition in the oil, so all you're eating is an empty fatty thing.
Calories. Yep. So why does calorie density matter? Well, just the point Naomi made, a tablespoon of olive oil has more calories than a pound of broccoli.
A whole pound.
Okay? So high calorie density means you can overeat very easily on those foods, take too many calories in, and then wonder why you're not losing weight. I don't even hardly eat anything.
I hardly eat anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Just eating the wrong things.
Even
Okay.
a vegan hot dog
So
is
this is-
so high in fat and calories and
This is-
processed foods and chemicals.
This is a very interesting trial where they fed 3 groups of people 3 different calorie density foods. A low calorie density diet, a medium calorie density diet, and a high calorie density diet. And they said eat what you want, okay? This is breakfast, lunch, dinner. So, okay, I know there must be a snack. All right, and then they actually weighed how much these people ate. Well, look at that. It didn't matter what the calorie density of your diet was. They ended up eating about the same amount of weight of food, okay?
Wait.
Now, translate that into calories. So instead of measuring the weight, how many calories did each of these people take in? So here's your low calorie density, the medium calorie density, your high calorie density. So between these two, this guy took in at least 500 calories more within a couple of days. Now you do that over a period of time, and you are going to be taking in significant excess
Pounds and
calories,
pounds
and
and
you are going to be storing that as fat. Okay? So calorie density matters. let's, so what fills you up? Foods high in water. What foods have high water? Fruits and vegetables, right? Foods high in fiber, fruits and vegetables. They have the bulk.
Fruits and vegetables.
Absolutely. So adding the following will not make you more full. So your baked potato, it might taste a little better, but you're not going to be any more full by adding a tablespoon of butter on it.
And it only tastes better because you're eating an artificial thing that is raising your pleasure threshold. That's why it tastes better.
Well, that's why I went through that thing at the beginning, is that we are programmed to like these things because on an evolutionary basis, those were advantageous, but they are not advantageous when you put that in the modern setting.
And buy it at the grocery store.
Right. So sugar, honey, syrup, all of those are still calories. Okay. So sometimes people will say, "Oh, I don't use sugar, I use honey." Well, if you're using a lot of honey, you're still going to be taking it, and you're still going to be raising your sugars. Okay. Let's take a look. So the evils of refining: it eliminates water, eliminates fiber, and also eliminates nutrients. That's the problem with the processed foods.
I want to give you an example of that, and I want to take olive oil as the example. Okay, people think that the oil is so healthy, but what is an oil? What does olive oil come from? What's the vegetable or the fruit? Olives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the makeups of an olive? It has fiber, it has nutrients, it has fluids, it has antioxidants, it has phytochemicals, and it has essential fatty acids. By taking the oil, we're just taking out the fat and leaving all the good stuff in the olive. So that's what's wrong with the refining of foods.
So Jeff Novick has this little saying that he says avoid foods that are calorie rich and processed. Okay, so let's look at some examples of that. So 100 calories, 2 chicken nuggets, or 1.5 cups of vegetable lentil soup. Which one is going to fill you up more? Yes.
Francis.
Okay,
Nice
all
to
right,
see you here.
140 calories, 2 fig Newtons or 1 small cantaloupe. Which one's going to fill you up more? You eat this, you're going to look around and say, here, let me have another couple, right?
Yeah.
So this is gummies, 450 calories, or a 2-pound fresh pineapple.
And
Which one's going to fill you up more?
pineapple today, y'all.
Right? And so you're going to eat this, you're going to enjoy eating this, and then you're going to be full up.
And you're
not
going to
gonna
look
wanna
like
eat.
this.
You're going to eat this, and then you're going to be still hungry and eating something else on top of it.
And feeling crappy.
200 calories. Almonds, so a handful of almonds or baby carrots. Now, almonds are healthy, but if you eat too many and you're trying to lose weight, you're going to be putting in the calories. Okay?
And too many is more than 1/4 of a cup. It goes really fast. It's almost like potato chips.
So you could say a quart, no, but you could have up to 1/4 cup a day.
So you have to measure your
If you are having trouble losing the weight, then be careful, right?
Yeah.
If you're losing weight, then your 1/4 cup is not hurting you, then that's fine.
But if
So-
you're not losing weight and you're stuck,
Yeah.
then it is hurting you. And so for people who are interested in weight loss, I'll say fruits, vegetables, greens, and beans, and leave the nuts alone.
So just re-looking at the calorie densities here. So vegetables, fruits, unrefined grains, legumes, beans, lentils. Okay.
What are some
Those are all
unrefined
great.
grains? What are some unrefined grains?
Oats.
Oats, good. What
Oh.
else?
My favorite.
Brown
meal of
rice. Brown rice. What else?
Quinoa's good.
Quinoa. Yeah.
You can actually
Yes.
even in that category. I don't know if you agree with me, but the whole wheat pasta can fit in
Whole
there as
wheat
well.
pasta, I definitely say fits in there.
Okay.
And that's because it has 6 grams.
Unrefined?
Unrefined.
Yeah.
And that's because it has its intact 6 grams of fiber per serving. If you compare that with regular white pasta, which only has 2 grams, and also the white rice pasta, and even the brown rice pasta only has that 2 grams, you're looking for the higher fiber content in your food.
Very good. Okay, so fatty protein. So we're talking about meats here, and then even worse than that in terms of calories is going to be your refined carbohydrates, the white flour products, junk food. So why is that a separate category? Well, you're mixing your refined flour usually with oils and throwing
sugar.
in some meat in there too. And so, junk foods are even higher. So nuts and seeds, Yes, they're healthy, just limit the quantities, that's all we're
And
saying
nuts
there.
and seeds includes chia seeds and flaxseed meal.
Oh, it does.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If you have high cholesterol, you need to watch out for that. It's a
So
big myth.
Oils and fats, really you want to try and cut this category out altogether. There's no
Completely.
nutrient value and a hell of a lot of calories, and you're going to be sabotaging yourself in terms of weight loss, okay? So this is from Kaiser Permanente, is one of the first health care organizations that actually has come out and advocated a plant-based diet.
The largest managed care plan in the United States has advocated for plant-based diets for all patients who come presenting with prediabetes, pre-heart disease, risk factors, and symptoms.
Why? Because they're smart, they want to save money.
High blood
Right.
pressure, high cholesterol, and high glucose. That's the three.
So half the plate full of vegetables, on this one example, quarter plate of beans, quarter plate of some whole grain product. So it just gives you some idea of what to look for when you're putting together a meal, what it should roughly look like. Okay, so this, show me the data.
That's
See, I
why we
always
saw
love
the
that.
data.
No, are you kidding me? I haven't got started
So
yet.
much more.
Okay, so I'll skip through. Okay, so just this briefly, this one. There's a World Cancer Research Fund at the American Institute of Cancer. 100 scientists, 30 countries reviewed 7,000 studies over 5 years. Their main recommendations were a healthy body weight, a calorie density of your food around 560. Well, that's just around where all those vegetables, whole grains, beans, fruits were. And that's where they talk about, say, mostly plant food. These two statements are essentially saying the same thing, okay? And by doing that, they calculated that you could cut down about a third of the most common cancers. They weren't looking at heart disease, diabetes, anything else. They're talking cancers, okay? So by having a healthy diet, a healthy weight, and mostly plant-based, you can cut down your cancer risk. Prostate cancer, this is Dr. Ornish again. He took a bunch of patients with early stage prostate cancer. These guys were just put on they maintained their regular diet. These guys were put on a whole food plant-based diet and exercise. Their PSAs went down, okay? So in a follow-up of the control patients, basically, 6 of them went on to conventional treatment. 0 of the lifestyle patients went on to conventional treatments, is either radiation or surgery, okay? And on a 24-month follow-up, 27% of the patients treated regularly went on to conventional treatment, only 5% of lifestyle. So early stage prostate cancer, you can slow down, if not stop it, with change in diet. That's what he's showing. Okay?
And I will tell you my cancer story a little bit later when I show the success stories.
So diet can affect you at the genetic level. Again, this is Dr. Ornish. I'm going to have to explain this one a little bit. In the vertical are the participants. There are 30 men with low-risk prostate cancer. Across this axis, on the horizontal axis, these are what they call oncogenes or cancer genes. Okay? So the red shows increased mRNA. That is, those genes are actively producing cancer promoting products. Okay? Where the green is there's decreased production of the cancer producing products. Now, this is pre-intervention, this is post-intervention. The intervention was they were put on a whole food, plant-based diet, exercise, and stress. In 3 months, you can literally show at the genetic level that there is a change in the expression of cancer genes. Okay?
Cancer genes.
Yes, you can turn them on.
So if the genes are like the gun in a cancer scenario that's going on in your body, the food, your nutrition, is like the trigger, can pull the trigger. Either, pulling the trigger and expressing that cancer gene, that hereditary risk that you may have, or shutting it down, turning it on or turning it off.
So Dr. Ornish, he's a real troublemaker. So then he did yet another study, and they looked at what's called telomeres. Telomeres are the ends of your chromosomes, and they're often described as like the plastic bit on the end of your shoelace to stop it unraveling. Now, telomeres have been shown to decrease as you get older. And in fact, some people say that they're a biological marker for aging. So again, in these prostate cancer guys, 10 patients here, 25, not a very big study, but this was groundbreaking. They put these people on lifestyle intervention, the whole food, plant-based diet, exercise, stress reduction, etc. After 5 years, what happened? So the control group, their telomeres got shorter, which is what happens in most people as they get older. So that's the normal expected. In these cancer patients, their telomeres actually increased. Some people are saying that literally you are reversing aging to some extent with a whole food plant-based diet. Okay? So I'm going to skip, do you want me to talk about breast cancer?
I'll talk about it.
Okay, I'll skip the breast cancer ones here, but here, let me just mention this one. This was people actually I'll leave it with you. Breast cancer survival. So here's patients who have had breast cancer.
That's me.
And they were on a low.
And Karen.
And they studied 4 categories. So low VF is low vegetable and fruit and low physical activity. Okay? So what happens if they have more physical activity? Well, there's not that much of a difference. What about if they just have increase their fruit and vegetable but don't increase their activity? Not much of a difference. But when you put together increased vegetables and fruits in the diet and increase your activity, you actually decrease the recurrence rate of cancer. Okay? And the 2 groups here, the blue and yellow, they were actually different weights. So these were the non-obese versus the obese. But in both categories, you saw that effect once you go to a high plant-based diet and physical activity, you reduce your cancer recurrence
But what
rate.
does obesity have to do with cancer? Did you see that? Higher mortality and cancer rates across all the sectors for obese. So that's something very important that women need to understand.
Okay, so here is actually a study of breast cancer recurrence in people who are taking soy in their diet. And this one, they had relatively low amounts of soy in the diet, medium amounts, and high amounts. As you can see, people on the women in the group which were on the highest amount of soy in the diet had actually a significantly lower recurrence rate of their breast cancer.
Now, who's heard the myths about soy that it causes cancer, that
Yes.
it's
When I
detrimental?
first started treatment,
At the
Yeah.
cancer center,
cancer center.
I've had patients coming back from the
The
cancer
jury's
center
in.
where they've been told not to eat soy.
yeah,
They've been told from cancer center not to eat soy.
but the
Isn't
jury's
it always
in.
about hormones as well, that they say not to have too much soy, high make
It's a myth that
It's a
it
myth.
causes
Otherwise, all
hormone
Japanese and
rise.
Chinese men would have breasts, and they don't.
And they don't. And the women would all have breast cancer, and they don't, because
Yeah.
that's
They have
one of the
lower
staples in their
But is
diet.
it a specific kind of soy? Is it like organic,
Whole
fermented
food-
You
whole
want
food.
whole, you don't want
Unprocessed.
isolates like in some of these, meat alternatives and
Right.
things, they have a lot of
Fermented.
those. Soy protein isolates, those are
You want to
not,
stay away from those.
right, you want the
Yes.
whole soy like your
Always aim
tempeh.
for whole foods as much as
Okay.
Yeah.
possible.
Edamame, which is the bean itself,
Right, the green.
tofu, or tempeh, yes.
Okay, looking at high blood pressure. So this was the Epic Oxford study, a pretty big European study, and they looked at diets and the prevalence of high blood pressure in those groups. So in the meat eaters, as you can see, the rate of high blood pressure was almost 3 times as much amongst the men, and not quite such a big difference amongst women, but clearly the more you went plant-based, the less high blood pressure you're going to have. So this is another study, Adventist study. They look at the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California. So this is in the US. They showed that your average non-vegetarian's BMI was always higher. So going on plant-based, you automatically tend to lose weight because you don't eat as many calories, okay?
So I want to address one thing on this, which is people will say, oh, I just want to go vegetarian, I'll keep eating cheese and eggs, or, oh, I'm just going to keep eating the fish, that's the pesco, the
Right.
semi, the lacto, I'm going to keep eating the milk. Which one which one has the lowest diabetes and hypertension? The vegan, all
Yeah.
the way plant-based.
Yeah. So compared with the non-vegetarians, the vegans here had almost 1/5 the rate of diabetes
1/5.
and 1/4 of the rate of high blood pressure. This is another study, again the Adventist study here, and again comparing non-vegetarians, semi-vegetarians, lacto-vegetarians and vegans, and this is the prevalence of diabetes, okay? And this is looking at men and women together, almost 2.5 times the higher incidence of diabetes amongst meat eaters.
Do you have the one that shows the 2 weeks?
2 weeks?
2 weeks, it's an Adventist health study. I'll just mention it.
Okay.
What they found in those studies is that those rates of high cholesterol and high blood pressure started to decrease in just 2 weeks after beginning a whole food plant-based diet. So it doesn't take forever to see the health benefits, and that's why we'll say, don't just go vegetarian, go all the way, and that's how you'll see the health benefits the quickest.
So this was pre-diabetes patients whose sugars are somewhat elevated, but they're not diabetic yet. So in this trial, they just put them on a placebo, or they put them on the medication metformin, or they put them on a plant-based diet and exercise, and guess which ones had the lowest progression to diabetes? So the lifestyle group by far.
Again, that's something that Dr. Banwatt said before, which is that if you have a surgery or if you just take medication and you don't address the lifestyle factors, your condition will continue to progress. It will continue to worsen. And that's despite what people are told by their doctors and what people think. They think, I'm taking medication, or I had a stent, so now I'm fine, I'm cured. That is not true.
I've had patients literally tell me, oh doc, I have my bypass, I'm good as new. And I have to tell them that actually you've had a couple of hose pipes replaced, but your engine's still pretty old.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
want to be real clear on that.
So,
The medication is not curing you. It
Oh.
will.
okay, so this one is very relevant to you, diabetes. So this was a very intensive treatment trial where they put them on 825 calories, which is a really low calorie diet, okay? But they put them on for 3 to 5 months. They stopped their medications, and then they gave them long-term support, and then they reintroduced the food back up, okay? But what this shows is this is weight loss in kilograms in 12 months. So those who lost very little weight, those who didn't stick very much to the diet, of those, very few actually reversed their diabetes. Those who managed to lose 15 kilograms, so we're talking 30 pounds plus here, 86% of them were able to reverse their diabetes. They were not on medications anymore. It requires significant weight loss and requires really significant changes. But this was a trial and they did it very intensively. You don't necessarily have to go that intensity because it could be really hard without support. But the point is it can be done. All right?
I want to just interject that 825 calories is a very low calorie diet, and that is not at all what we are talking about.
Right.
Generally speaking, when you adopt a whole food plant-based diet, you want to eat as much as you like of fruits, vegetables, grains, and beans to where you feel good so that your brain can learn to speak to your stomach and you can recalibrate those taste buds and you can begin to regulate your body systems from the inside out. And eating to where you feel good is a part of that regulation. So we do not restrict calories, we do not restrict portions, we don't do any
This
of
whole
that.
concept of calorie counting,
It's
I
crazy.
kind of disagree with it. I could never do it anyway. I could never keep up with all
So
that.
I want to be real clear on
Regularity.
that. This is a diet of beautiful food and feeling good.
Right. I understand the general principles and follow it, and then you basically can eat what you want
Yeah.
within that diet.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I just have a question about the fruit involved in this kind of diet for a diabetic, because we're told that we
Yeah,
can't eat
exactly.
too much fruit, and then they were told that we can't eat fruit, so
So it tastes sweet, right? Sweet, it has sugar, must be bad for you. Well, it turns out that actually they've done trials where they've given diabetics lots and lots of fruit, and actually because the fruit, if you eat it intact whole, comes with the fiber, it does not cause a big jump in the sugars. Now, if you go ahead and juice that lot and then drink it, then you're going to get massive spikes in your sugars. So I used to also, under that belief, tell patients not to eat too much of the sweet fruits. But no, actually they've done trials where they deliberately tried to raise the sugar levels with fruit, and they found it very difficult. You have to eat tremendous amounts. So don't worry about it.
You need the fat, right?
Yes.
You need the
You need the whole
fiber,
food.
whole,
Yeah.
So you can't just, oranges would be out, because you can't eat the,
Well, no, you don't, I mean, you don't
No,
worry about the
oranges-
skin. No, I mean, but
yeah.
your point is you don't juice it.
right, okay.
Because the fiber is the thing that regulates the blood sugar. So when you eat the sugar with the fiber, don't forget you're also getting all those nutrients, antioxidants, fluids, vitamins and minerals, phytochemicals, and the fiber, and that's what regulates the blood sugar. So when I help people transition to a whole food plant-based diet, and if you've seen my live streams, I say eat fruit lots, and it will also help recalibrate that high sugar threshold that you have. It will retrain your taste buds, and it's a great idea. And so I brought these.
All right, so this was a trial where young type 2 diabetics, average A1C 10.6, put on intensive lifestyle therapy, a 1,500 calorie diet, which is a much more manageable diet, right? And they were given initially metformin. 53% of them managed to completely reverse their diabetes and stop their medications by the end of the 24-month trial.
I'm going to show you somebody who got off of injectable insulin in 8 months. And now my success stories.
So what has diabetes got to do with meat consumption? Well, again, this is the EPIC study, 38,000 people around Europe, and they looked at what they were eating and what the prevalence of diabetes was. And again, you can see there's meat eaters have a significantly higher risk of diabetes, okay? This is, yeah, I think we'll just skip on to the next one there.
Are you going to explain about the insulin receptors and the fat?
Not yet, no.
Are you going to?
Okay, if you want to deal with that.
So most people think that diabetes is caused by sugar, right? Who's been told that it's caused by sugar? Yeah. So what they've come to find out in doing the studies like these is that you have insulin receptors that open up when you eat sugary foods, right? To let the insulin in. Insulin is like a key, and it unlocks the cell so the glucose from the food that you just ate can be used by the cell, right? So when you have high cholesterol, a fatty liver, excess weight, then it surrounds all of your cells and your organs, and it gums up those insulin receptors. They can't open, and insulin, the key, can't get in to open the cell. So the glucose rises, the glucose levels rise in your blood. It's not caused by the sugar, it's caused by the fat.
It's actually caused by the fats. The fats cause insulin resistance.
That's what insulin resistance means.
So that you have insulin, but it's just not able to do what it needs to do to get that sugar level down.
I have, a few years ago, I went to a doctor in Tampa, in Dale Mabry, and my A1C was about, I think, 12.1. And she said, if you don't reverse this, I'm going to put you on insulin. And that was my biggest fear.
Wow.
And she told me, and this is from a doctor, she said, if you want to reverse your diabetes, you need to you need to be a vegan. She said the animal fat protein is what causes the diabetes. And I've never had any doctor ever tell me that. And I took her advice. And like I said, I was able to reverse it in 3 months. I was down to a 6.1.
Wow.
So then what happened?
I fell off because my family, they all eat, it's
You
all
need-
about convenience,
Yeah.
So, and for me, I find it hard trying to, I get bored easily making the same thing, and I just lose interest. So that's why I'm here, because
So that's up to you then, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think it can be very difficult if you don't have people supportive around
Yeah.
you, and I absolutely sympathize with that. So you've got to find yourself that community, and we're going to be doing a weight loss group, but yes, that could be part of it.
And who's been to my potlucks? Raise your hand if you've been to my potlucks. Okay, so I do these like every month or two. You came, but you weren't there that whole time. And they are super fun, and this is where you can meet 10, 20 like-minded people eating the same thing as you, having a great time, tasting all sorts of new foods, getting the recipes. That's what that's for.
I missed that last one, unfortunately.
You missed that last
Yeah.
one. That one was the holiday one. That was good.
So what about eggs? Eggs actually, this is a nurses and health study. This is about
Who
100,000
thinks
nurses
eggs?
being followed.
Well, who thinks eggs are a health food? Raise your hand if you think eggs are high in protein and low in fat, and you're going to eat eggs to go on a diet. Yeah. No.
So if in the nurses health study, they found that if you were a diabetic and you ate 1 egg a day, it doubled your risk of cardiovascular disease. Okay? If you're already diabetic. Now, if you ate more than 5 eggs per week, you're not diabetic, and you ate more than 5 eggs a week, you had an increased risk of actually developing diabetes. So, what about the plant-based diet versus the ADA diet? So,
ADA is American Diabetes Association. What's on their website, what they tell people to
do.
eat.
And as you can see, you can get a much, these are small numbers over here, but it depends on what time frame you're looking at. But nonetheless, as you can see, compared to the ADA diet, you're getting literally a 4 times greater drop in your A1C. You're getting a greater drop in your LDL, in weight, in number of people who are able to cut back their medications.
Yeah.
All right? So plant-based is the way to go if you're diabetic. Okay, then what about cholesterol? Well, here is a standard low-fat diet. This one at the bottom here is low-fat plus lovastatin, one of the cholesterol statin medications. Here next to it, with the triangle, that one is actually just a whole food plant-based diet. So with a whole food plant-based diet, they were able to match the results that you can get with 20 milligrams of lovastatin. Okay?
Hold on. Somebody online has a question. Marta, what doctor on Dale Mabry was that?
Oh my God, I don't. It was on Dale Mabry.
It was too long ago. You don't remember?
It was about 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
She was the. I can try to find
Well,
her.
we've got a doctor right here in
Yeah.
Hernando County.
We now have it right here.
Unless that's a Tampa person.
Okay, so what about what's the cholesterol level in people eating a plant-based diet versus a regular diet? So if your regular diet is here, then those people who, and if you just look at total cholesterol, the green line, when you're having a plant-based diet, your cholesterol level is going to be anywhere between 20 to 60 points less than someone having a regular diet. Okay? What if you put someone with high cholesterol and put them onto a plant-based diet? Well, they get a drop in their cholesterol levels anywhere between 20 and 40. I don't know what these trials were, what kind of diet they were on, but certainly Dr. Ornish, he has a much more a strict plant-based diet, and you can get a 40-point drop. If you already have a high cholesterol, you can get a significant drop with going plant-based.
I am going to show you some success stories, several of them that show cholesterol drops, and also the timeline of the cholesterol drops.
So,
What is it, Karen?
Well, I was just wondering, like, compared to statins, like, what could people expect, how much of a drop can they expect to get with the statin?
So it does vary between people, and you know that there are different statins, and some of them are stronger than others, and then there's different doses within that. So this one was comparing 20 milligrams of lovastatin, which is one of the early statins, and one of the weaker statins. But the point is, if your cholesterol is mildly elevated, you can totally control it with diet.
You don't need
Now,
it,
if you're
yeah.
severely elevated, you may still need a statin, but you would probably need a lower dose of it, right?
But the point is about the statin is that your arteries are still loaded with plaque, and your blood is still swimming with fat, and that's what high cholesterol means. So, statin or no statin, you don't want to be on the statin and then not control the lifestyle portion of it, which is the diabetes.
So people think that, I'm taking the cholesterol medicine, I can eat what I like,
It's
and it's
controlled.
totally wrong.
Wrong.
So the cholesterol medicines work by blocking your own internal production of cholesterol, because your body actually makes cholesterol, right? What it doesn't block is a cholesterol from outside. So if you've got a bad diet, you're putting in all that cholesterol, and the statin's not able to do anything about it. So Oh, yes, so this point was that a vegan diet is not the same as a whole food plant-based diet. As we kind of discussed earlier, you can be a Dunkin' Donuts vegan, and that is not going to be healthy. Just a couple of philosophical points. Albert Einstein said, nothing will benefit human health and increase the chance of survival of life on Earth as much as evolution to a vegetarian diet.
How did he know that?
And he's not the only smart guy who thought so. Here's a whole bunch of people who are vegetarian or vegan. Okay?
Did you know that? Abraham Lincoln,
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin, Da Vinci, Van Gogh,
Right?
I didn't know that
Tesla.
either. Didn't he hunt too though?
So,
I don't know.
talk about nutrients for a second. Plants are the only source of antioxidants. Animals, you almost get no antioxidants from animals, and what you do get is actually indirectly from plants. Complex carbs, what does that mean? There's fiber. Fiber is in plants only. You do not get fiber in animal products. Vitamins are made essentially in plants. You get it through meat, but that's indirectly. Why not get it from the source? Fat, plants have much lower fat content than animals. So if you're talking about in terms of calories taken in, you are going to take in fewer calories if you're on a plant-based diet, which is what we were talking about, the calorie density principle earlier on. Protein, so you get higher amounts of protein from animals, but how much protein do you need? So it turns out that up to about 10% is reasonable. Once you start getting the higher levels of protein, it actually has adverse effects in terms of your diabetes, your blood pressure, cancer rates go up the more the higher protein diet that you're on. That's why these keto and paleo diets, short term, sure, they're producing weight loss. Long term, these people are going to be heading for medical problems.
How much protein do you think you need per day, you know?
Maybe a
How much?
small cup.
No, how much in milligrams of
I don't
protein?
know.
You have no idea. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
There's a formula. You can figure it out for yourself. It's 0.36. It's your body weight times 0.36. And that's your personal protein requirements. So for me, that's 50 grams of protein. I weigh 135 pounds. That's 50 grams of protein. So do you think that's hard to get or easy to get with plants?
Easy.
Why is it easy?
Well, because I use this website, this app called Chronometer, and when I put in, all the plants that I eat, I easily, I just easily get the protein.
So beans and legumes have about 15 grams of protein per half a cup, and we all eat more than a half a cup on my rice and beans. I don't know about you guys. And every bit of plant food, every plant contains even little bits of protein, 1 to 3 grams. Fruits, vegetables, grains, and beans. Everything you're eating has a little bit of protein. So it's very, very simple to actually get the protein requirements at 10%.
Yeah. So you can get all the protein you need from plants. That's the
So
point.
a whole food plant-based diet is an 80-10-10.
So this American infatuation with putting protein into everything, now you can get vodka with protein in, believe it
It's
or
so
not.
silly, so
Right?
silly.
You don't need
You don't
it, and
need
it's
it.
actually harmful. Chronic kidney disease is about number 4 or 5 killer in the US.
Yes.
Caused
Right.
by excess protein. That is one of the high blood pressure and high protein are major factors which could cause the chronic kidney disease. So we're looking at this. So, people who are popping their multivitamins thinking, oh, I'm doing myself a great favor, and yes, they may have a few nutrients in there, which are probably not the same as what you're getting from your food, by the way. But what they
Eat a
don't...
cutie. All you have
Well,
eat plants.
Because this guy doesn't have a label on him, but he's got a whole lot more in there, okay? So there are over 100,000 known phytonutrients, and we don't even know what all of them does.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are very protective in terms of cancer, and going plant-based, you are going to be getting all of that. You don't need your multivitamin pills. I don't know whether we can mention it right now, but so the only thing that I recommend in people who go plant-based is vitamin D, B12, and EPA, DHA, and that's it. And the rest you get from your food,
What's DHA?
essential fatty acids.
Oh.
So, lifestyle medicine. So lifestyle medicine, so I'm now board certified lifestyle medicine. People ask me, what is lifestyle medicine? I'll just quickly mention it. So basically, this is the first American medical board which recognizes that a whole food plant-based diet is the way to go. It recognizes that we need to deal with physical activity, stress management, emotional wellness, sleep, avoiding risky substances like smoking and alcohol, and actually thinking about happiness. All of these factors have been shown to affect your health and your longevity. Okay, so we're focusing here today mostly on diet, but these factors are also very important, and definitely we should be thinking about them at some point. All right. So put another way, this is what is lifestyle medicine? It's grandma's advice 2.0. Right. So eat your veggies and your fruit. Don't overeat rich foods, especially avoid salt, oil, sugar, and meat. Okay. Go and play. Exercise, right? Make friends, and then go to sleep on time, and then don't indulge in bad habits,
So true.
right? That's literally what lifestyle medicine is. But how many people actually do that? This was a study where they looked at non-smoking. So, okay, 76% of the population is non-smoking now. Healthy weight, well, at that time it was 40. Now it's actually decreased to 30%, okay? 5 helpings of fruit and vegetables per day, only 23%. Regular physical activity, 22%. So what percentage of the population do you think does all 4? I have a wild guess at it.
25?
1%.
3%.
Wow.
Only 3% of the population actually does that. Oh, it's so obvious. We all know it. We just don't do it.
Right.
Okay? And that is the key point. That's what lifestyle medicine is about, for us to bring this awareness to people. Okay, so just to leave you on some action items. So avoid the CRAP, the calorie-rich processed foods. Eat freely, vegetables, fruits. Starchy vegetables are okay. I would avoid the white potatoes. I like sweet potatoes. Intact whole grains, definitely. Beans, lentils, definitely. Sequence foods. This is a good trick to do. Eat low calorie density foods first. So fill yourself up with a big salad. Maybe have a soup which has not got a lot of salt in it, and then have your main meal. That's going to be low calorie density. So if you've already filled yourself up on your main meal, you're going to eat a little bit less, right? Don't drink your calories. No juices, no sodas. And in fact, no alcohol as well if you're trying to lose weight, because you're actually putting in calories with alcohol.
And the same goes with artificially sweetened drinks like
Right.
Smart Water and kombucha and diet iced tea stuff. No.
So I don't have that slide here, but they showed what happens when you give someone, say, a soda before their meal. Do they eat less because now they've already taken in 300-400 calories? The answer is no. They eat the same amount. So what have you done? You've added those 300-400 calories on top of what you are getting in your food. So do not drink your calories, okay? I think I'm going to go ahead and stop there. We'll have a little break, and we can do questions. Well, while anyone wants to get up and stretch, please feel free.
I have one question. Seafood. What's the downside of that?
Meat.
Animal protein, cancer, cholesterol.
Seafood? Fish?
It's
Cholesterol.
meat.
Yeah.
It's the same
So
thing.
fish.
TMA.
Okay, so
I'm talking baked, not
What
fried.
about wild caught
right.
salmon?
Yeah.
So
TMA.
yes, in limited quantities, if you're not pushing your total protein to high levels, if you're having, say, so some of the longest lived societies live in what they call the blue zones. Okay, these places have people who live over the age of 100, and a few of those places they do have meat in their diet, but they have it only occasionally, and they have it in small amounts. They don't have it in American supersized portions. Okay, So small amounts of say something like wild salmon, some people say that's acceptable. I know Naomi on principle doesn't agree with that, but I'm just telling you that.
It will not help you lose weight. It
Yes.
will not help your cholesterol. It will
It
not
won't
help
help you.
your disease. It
Yeah.
will not reverse your diabetes.
Yeah.
It won't do any of that. So
So
there's really no reason.
if you had a little bit while you're transitioning, I wouldn't feel very bad about it. Is if you're transitioning, that's fine. Don't. I would try not to get stuck there. I would try and make it all the way to the whole food plant-based diet.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
What's your thoughts on apple cider vinegar?
There is some evidence that that's
It's a
helpful.
plant food.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Some people with it actually helps a little bit with weight loss in some people,
It's
and
delicious.
digestive problems in other people. So there is some evidence that it's helpful. Yeah.
So while you're asking questions and things, why don't you guys come over here and eat? We have a beautiful rice and bean mix. We have bowls here, and then put all these veggies on it. We have some avocado, some sprouts, some onions, some cilantro.
Please do.
I
Naomi's
did
worked
not-
hard to get all this stuff in.
I did
already.
not put any cilantro in the mix because I know some people don't like it, but make sure you
I
take
love
it if you like it. Make yourself a bowl, have some water with lemon, take a cutie, and then I'll show you the success stories as soon as you guys get some food and sit down.
Thank you, I had no idea you were bringing food.
I didn't either, I just whipped it out.
Your potluck, is that at Silverthorne?
No, my potlucks are usually at House of Light Yoga, but I might do one here. Dr. Banwatt just opened this up here, so this is a great place to do it.
His office?
Yeah, this is part of his office, yeah. All right, come on up and eat, everybody. You can go on both sides of the table.
I'll be honest with you, their potluck at Silverthorne, a vegan group.
Well, I'm having some because she's only
Yeah.
talking now.
That's right.
Missed your chance.
Here, want some lime? I'm squeezing lime. You take a fork or a spoon or whatever you prefer. Rocka sprouts. Welcome. Whoops.
So,
Is
is
there some
Himalayan,
avocado?
yes, I do.
Yes.
The Himalayan,
Yes. But I'm not saying it's special for anything. I just like the way it looks in
Yes.
here. Pam, you've had this before. She knows when to come to a thing.
So, well, thank you for allowing me to present all this science, you see.
Yeah. Would you like some lime? Thank you. Like some lime?
Yes. Grilled Oh, no.
So this is like weight loss food. And you can eat this until you feel good. Obviously, if you have Crohn's disease, maybe you might have a problem with your beans or things like that. But like I said, it gets better. You know, you put little bits of time into your diet, and the more you transition to a plant-based diet, it improves.
So you're instructor. Where did you?
Pam knows how to make the bowl. You're welcome. Let me know if we run out of anything. I have more of everything. Yeah, people think that, but now that you know better, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna watch that oil, and you're gonna lose the weight. You'll see. Yes, that's what it is. You can't talk to people until you tell them the story. And so kudos to you for listening and coming to
Yes,
us.
yes, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, it was an opportunity.
Is it what?
No, Grabowski, yeah. So, yeah, he was in the next room.
After all that evidence. Well, that's my doctor's office, you know.
You do? Yeah, that's where I work, that's where I work. So who's your doctor?
Dr. Mariani?
Oh, yeah. Yes, so Robin's actually left now. She's the comments and stuff too. She's doing
Be able to tap it.
Yeah, she's doing
What's
Yeah,
that?
she's with the VA. No,
It's growing now.
It's a new college, and they're kind of expanding fairly rapidly. I think it's really hit a nerve with a lot of physicians who are looking for something. You know, we've always been told medication, medication. It's been very dissatisfying practicing that.
Yeah, that's the whole, that's part of the whole idea. Alright, so how do I do this? Clicky?
Okay. So, laser is at the bottom. You just want to press that one to go down and this one to go up. So it's
Which is up and down.
So down.
This is the next
So
one?
the lower one, the next
next.
laser is, yeah, lower one is next. So you just
All right.
have a practice.
Karen, did you get something to eat? Oh, okay.
And you're
Alright,
doing
so,
this,
I love this. Yeah, definitely. So let me tell you guys some of these success stories so that you could see this in real people. Some of them right here in Hernando County, okay? But first I want to tell you, this is last year's Great Hernando Weight Loss Challenge team that I led. All of these people did a whole food plant-based diet, and my team lost 172 pounds.
That was a team of 10.
Team of 10, yeah. And so that's an average of 17 pounds each in 10 weeks, and that's actually higher than what I really tell people is realistic or that I tell people is healthy, but this is what happened. And we had potlucks, and we had field trips to Upictopia, and we had weekly support group meetings, and it was just fantastic. Look at the faces on these people. It really was amazing. This is Davo. He was on the live stream before. I bet he didn't know he was going to be featured tonight, but he had high blood pressure. He had chronic pain, I believe, in his knees. For those of you who were talking about inflammatory conditions and pain and things like that, he lost 30 pounds eating all the whole plant foods he wanted. And the reason he's holding all those fruits and vegetables is because that's what 30 pounds looks like if you try to hold it in your arms. So imagine what the 30 pounds was doing in the front of his body there on the inside. He said, working with Naomi in the weight loss group really helped me realize the impact of removing the oils and the animal foods from your diet and solely providing your body the whole plant foods it desires. So, regular guy right here in Spring Hill, whole food plant-based diet. And he loves to cook too. He was cooking all kinds of Indian stuff. This is the diabetes story and heart disease. I wanted to tell you about the insulin. This is Jo Sims. She, you know, the weight loss, you can't just lose it all in 10 weeks. It can take a year or more if you have more than 50 pounds to lose. So, she went vegan, I think, in January of 2017, so a whole year and a half ago, or 2 years ago already. But at the time that we did the weight loss challenge, she still had, 30 more pounds to go. So she joined the challenge, and she lost an additional 12 pounds, eating all the whole plant foods she wanted. And since she was so severely diabetic, when I first met her, before she went vegan, she looked like she was having triplets. The weight was all right here. And she says, before working with Naomi to adopt a whole food plant-based no oil diet last year, the endocrinologist gave me more and more medications to control my diabetes, but my belly swelled larger and larger and the sicker I got. Recently, my endocrinologist congratulated me on my great blood work. This was the first time in 9 years my fasting glucose was under 98. I am off all injectable insulin, and I didn't leave the office feeling like crying. I'm following this easy, vegan, delicious, nourishing way of eating forever. So this released her from the fear of that she was carrying around for 9 years, taking insulin. And she had no idea there was a way out until she grabbed on. And she learned about it in the documentary Forks Over Knives, which is, if you have not seen that yet, this is something I recommend that you totally watch. Write that down in your notes if you're taking notes. and
What's
watch
the name?
Forks Over Knives.
Forks over knives.
Forks Over Knives. And there's another documentary called What the Health, which Forks Over Knives features two plant-based doctors, two experts, Dr. T. Colin Campbell, he's the one that we were talking about the China study before, and the other one is Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, who's the first physician to be able to show artery blockage reversal with a whole food plant-based diet. And so these two physicians present Forks Over Knives, but then in What the Health, it's presented by 10 plant-based physicians, 2 additional plant-based nutritionists, and a whole bunch of food policy experts. Totally worth watching, and it will probably blow your mind. We have done some film screenings at the potlucks, and everybody's mind is blown when we do that. So I guess we'll be doing that again, right, Karen? All right. This is Charla, the one with the fatty liver. Who was asking me about fatty liver? Okay. She had the gallbladder surgery. She had her gallbladder removed, and her physician came to tell her that at 198 pounds, she had fat surrounding all of her organs, and that she was lucky she didn't have a heart attack. And she was so afraid of that image of fat suffocating her organs. She said, at 197 pounds, my doctor told me I had fat surrounding and suffocating all my organs. Naomi taught me how to eat whole plant foods the right way, and the weight started falling off and freed me from that frightening image forever. She lost 20 pounds in 10 weeks eating as much whole plant foods as she wanted. And she also has, a family and a stressful job and all the rest of it, but it becomes, what do you want to do with your life? What kind of life do you want to live, right? This is Amanda, who was a junk food vegan, a self-professed. She would not be upset at me for calling her a junk food vegan. She's self-professed, and she joined the Weight Loss Challenge because she knew that I was going to be talking about a whole food plant-based diet and that she would be forced to adopt it. And so she lost 18 pounds. And she said, essentially, my attachment to the junk foods that didn't serve me was severed, and I'm now attached to whole plant foods. This was my goal from the beginning, and now I feel like it's fully actualized. So she really put her heart and soul into it. She knew that what she was doing before was just causing her to get bigger and bigger. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand while we're going, and I'll answer. Go ahead.
Let's say we have family members who are diabetics and really overweight. Do you guys have like a 30-month plan, like what they should eat or stuff like that, or?
I coach people privately.
Privately.
Yeah, I coach privately, and they can, there's a lot of information online. You can join my free Facebook group called Going Vegan for Health. I do live streams every week talking about different aspects of whole food plant-based diets. And on my Going Vegan for Health Facebook page is a guide, a free guide called How to Go Vegan for Your Health that you can start to follow immediately. And anything that you follow from that guide is going to be putting you on the right path.
One thing, you better work with your physician on that.
If there are medications,
if you're on medication and you make a sudden change to a plant-based diet, your sugars are going to come right down.
Your
and
cholesterol is
you
going to
have
come
low
down.
sugar reactions.
Your blood pressure is going to come down. Your sugars
Right.
are going to come down, and you're going to have side effect reactions from doing that.
Yeah,
the medications.
the medication will be too much.
They'll
It
be
has
too
to cut
strong.
down.
Isn't that great? Yes.
That's happened to me. I woke up to like 45 sugars where
Yeah,
I
it's
woke
low
up in
sugar.
a sweat
Yeah.
and
Right.
didn't know what to do when I was eating that way.
Oh gosh.
Can you believe this guy weighed 300 pounds? This is Dwayne. You know Dwayne?
The farmer, that's the farmer.
Yes, that's Dwayne from the Oro Community Garden. And he actually went, when he first started, he went on a juice fast for 60 days. I know we don't recommend that, I'm just telling you his story. And he knew that after the 60 days, he was going to be adopting a whole food plant-based diet. And so this was the last 20 pounds. He joined the challenge to get that last 20 pounds off. And he said, this challenge is my final push toward my goal weight of 200. What a pleasure it is to eat plant foods, enjoy carbs, and lose weight while getting healthier and stronger every day. So it's just amazing. I wanted Steve to hear that one. I might have to go back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're 300 pounds, you don't think that it can happen for you, and it totally can, and it can start to happen quickly. This is an example of a woman with stubborn high cholesterol. Remember I was talking about how the threshold for disease and illness is different in everybody? She was not very overweight. She was maybe 15, 20 pounds overweight, but she had high cholesterol and prediabetes diagnosed. And so she went whole food vegan in August 2017, and 6 months later, she lost 20 pounds, reduced her cholesterol 40 points, and completely reversed her prediabetes diagnosis, according to her physician. She reversed it all. And this is what her plate looked like at my Asian potluck that we had. Were you at that? You were at that one.
I was.
Yeah. Look at that plate of food. It was amazing. So this is an example of how when people do not adopt the whole food plant-based diet, they can still have this stubborn high cholesterol and not be very overweight, or stubborn high blood pressure or prediabetes and all those things. But the whole food plant-based diet reverses it all. Steve, I want to show you this guy, Dwayne. I was waiting for you. This guy, Dwayne,
Yeah.
he weighed 300 pounds 2 years ago. And here's what he says. He goes, "What a pleasure it is to eat plant foods, enjoy my carbs, and lose weight while getting healthier and stronger every day." And this is him now. And I want you to know that this works for anybody who gives it a try. And it's not much to say, just give it a try and see what you feel, right? Yeah. All right. We're going the wrong way. All right, so I already told you about Rosanna. Here's another example of a woman who was a personal trainer, and she thought that she was doing everything she could possibly do for her health, but she was struggling with high cholesterol and high blood pressure as a personal trainer. And this also goes to the point of how it's not only exercise, diet is very, very important. And diet can make the entire difference in this sort of a scenario when nothing else works to reduce your cholesterol or your blood pressure. So I'm going to show you how her cholesterol came down, and it was not very quick, but we'll see. Before meeting Naomi in June 2017, my blood pressure was high and my cholesterol was 240. After I watched What the Health and I learned from Naomi how to eat delicious, easy to make, homemade, whole plant foods, by August, so from June to August, what is that? June, July, 3 months. My blood pressure dropped down to the perfectly normal for the first time in a decade. So it took 3 months for the blood pressure to come down. And my cholesterol dropped to 202. Started at 240, 3 months later it was 202. By December, so is that 3 more months or 4 months? It dropped to 192. By August of 2018, which just was a few months ago, my cholesterol was 155 and I've never felt better or stronger. It's the animal foods and the oils that cause my problems, and now I know what I need to do from now on. So look at that. That's a testament right there. This is Judy. I was hoping Judy was going to come today. She started at 242 pounds and 70 years old. It is never, this is her biggest. If you've been in my my Going Vegan for Health Facebook group, Judy is very active in there. She's always on the live streams, and she will say to everybody, don't wait till you're 70 years old. At 242 pounds and age 70, Judy got brave. She joined one of my weight loss groups, which I do online, and she adopted a whole food, plant-based, no oil lifestyle, and she lost 33 pounds. That's since April. We did that weight loss group, and she's still losing steadily. She's actually lost 3 more pounds since I took this picture. The amount was so heavy, we didn't catch her in time for her to hold it all. We had to put it in a basket. She says, as an obese cancer survivor, I had elevated liver enzymes, elevated glucose levels, chronic pain, and high blood pressure. I'm now relieved and ecstatic. At my last blood work check, my liver enzymes and glucose levels were normal, and my blood pressure was down. She's now tapering off her blood pressure medication. I finally learned you really can eat guilt-free, lose weight, enjoy it, and watch your health turn around. My best advice is Don't wait, do it now. She says that all the time. Women, how many of you can identify with, at some point in your life, that you just did not want to see yourself in a mirror? Did you ever feel like that? I've felt like that.
This morning, actually.
Every day.
So, Carmela really felt like that, and she's a member of my 10-week whole food, plant-based, no oil weight loss group as well. And we do a lot of mindset work in that weight loss group, because you have to turn your mind around. You have to get excited for the change you're making. You have to harness the power of your mind to do this thing. And it works from the inside out like that. And this is her at the end of the 10 weeks. I think she lost about 16 pounds. 14 or 16, I'm not even sure. She wasn't obese or very overweight, but she had a very poor self-image of herself, and she couldn't stand to look in the mirror. So this is her at the holidays. I felt like a princess in that dress, and for the first time liked what I saw in the mirror and felt comfortable in my own skin. And that's a big deal for a lot of us, a really big deal. All right, let's look at some blood work numbers. This is Heidi. She only lost 12 pounds in 10 weeks, and she did have 40 pounds to lose, so she's still working on it. She was in my August weight loss group. Eating all the whole plant foods she wants, and she was addicted to fast food. She had a McFrappe habit, where she would have, right? Can anybody identify with, you have a lot of meetings and things during the day, or you're on the road, you have a sales job, and you pull off into a gas station, or the McFrappe is McDonald's or fast food. She had a habit of that, and it was really hurting her. So now she knows how to leave her toxic eating habits in the dust forever and take control of her health, and her blood work proves it. And she scared me a little bit, because when she first talked to me, she was like, this has to work, because I'm going to the doctor in October and all my blood work needs to be normal. And I said, this will work. So, because I know it will work. But, inside I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. So she lost now, so it was a few weeks after the 10-week program was finished, because I wanted her to get to that doctor visit and see her numbers. So she was pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, and this is what happened. I'm now down 15 pounds. My blood pressure is 123/79. My A1C is 5.4, and everything else is normal. I'm so relieved. What I learned is you need to be all in for whole food, plant-based, no oil eating to see the measurable health results. I wasn't sure before I joined this group, but I knew if I tried it, I could stop wondering if I could really stop the downward health spiral I was in. And I did it. She was really afraid that she was going to get sicker and sicker. So that's the point, that this way of eating can reverse these conditions in their tracks. Travis, 350 pounds. He's a member of my weight loss group. He did this by himself. He's not a member of any of my weight loss groups. He's a member of the big Facebook group, right? So he reversed his diabetes. He takes no medications, and he maintains his now he's at 200 pounds. 200-pound weight at 6'2", no matter how much whole plant foods he enjoys or how often he eats. I think my body has hit its happy place. All my ailments, my diabetes, my high cholesterol, my hip, knee, and back pain, my low energy, it's all gone thanks to discovering this delicious whole food plant-based lifestyle. Even my kids are doing well with it. And the cool thing about Travis is that he loves food. So in my Facebook group, he posts these things, he calls it the morning monster, and he eats veggie sandwiches for breakfast, because he works at 5 o'clock in the morning, and so he makes these giant, with Dave's Killer Bread, giant veggie sandwiches with the veggies just piled up, and he puts hummus in there, and guess what? There's no fat in any of that, right? And he loves it. So that's Travis.
What bread does he eat?
Dave's Killer Bread. Yeah.
That's good bread.
Yeah, two breads that I recommend. One is Ezekiel bread. It's kind of expensive. It's in the freezer section at Publix, and the other one is Dave's Killer Bread. Same with the whole grain pastas, whole grain bread like this. If you love it and it makes you love a veggie sandwich, then have at it.
Any of Dave's, you think? He's got like 4 of them out there.
Some is higher in salt and whatnot.
I choose the ones that are lowest in fat,
Okay.
because you
Or
just don't
highest in
need the.
fiber. Oh, yeah, I just know
highest
the
in
highest in
fiber.
fiber.
Yeah, yep. Whenever you're looking at any labels, you wanna look for higher fiber, lower fat. The two F words, you could remember it that way. And I've been through this myself. I am a cancer survivor, and when I finished treatment in 2014, I was 40 pounds overweight, 40 pounds more than I weigh now. And, but I did have an inkling it had something to do with the foods, because I had heard of superfoods and things like that, you know, kale and acai berries or whatever. So I decided when I was done with cancer treatment, and I did all the cancer treatment. You know, I had a lump, and my doctor said I had to have a full mastectomy, and I had to do 9 months of chemotherapy and an additional 35 radiation treatments. And so these are my new curls. Got them back, and this is my new body. So, yeah. So when you're done with this cancer treatment, though, they ring this stupid bell and they say, "Oh, you're done." But then you go see the oncologist, and she says, "Oh, by the way, you need to take this pill, you know, so that we reduce your risk of cancer recurrence." And I didn't want to take any more pills. I thought I had done enough, and I really couldn't believe that, because they don't tell you that in the beginning. Oh, the cancer's going to come back. They don't tell you that. So I thought it had to do with this food thing, and I thought I would ask my oncologist, you know, what should I eat? Tell me what to eat, right? I'm a real patient, really asking for guidance on this topic. But do they know?
No, they're telling you
No.
whatever you
No.
want.
She looked me straight in the eye, and she said, "It doesn't matter what you eat." And I was like, "Come on, I'm really asking you, tell me what to eat." And she said, "It doesn't matter what you eat." And I was really furious, but then I realized she truly believed that, because they serve cupcakes and cheese crackers in the chemo room. So I went home that day and I started Googling, you know, consulting Dr. Google. You know how we do that?
Yeah.
And I was Googling food and cancer, nutrition, and I came across the documentary Forks Over Knives. And that's where Dr. T. Colin Campbell is explaining his research in the China study, and how he also found in all his research on animal proteins that eating animal protein turns cancer cells on, and not eating it turns cancer cells off. And to me, that was something to grab onto. And then in that documentary, they go on to talk about how animal foods are the main causes of the obesity epidemic, the diabetes epidemic, and the heart disease epidemics that we have in this country. And so I knew I had to tell other people this thing, just like Dr. Banwatt. I had to spread this message, and that's why I'm here today, and that's why I want you guys to get a taste of this. Did anybody like what they had tonight?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
No cheese, no oil, no meat. Everything you just ate there sweeps out your body, causes weight to fall off if you don't need it, regulates blood sugar, sweeps out extra cholesterol, regulates blood pressure. That's what that food is. So the recipe for that is on the table if you would like it. And that's why I'm here today. Any other questions? Any questions about any of these people that you saw?
I have a question. How does a diet like this, how does it fight inflammation?
That's the thing he said he wasn't going to talk about.
Yeah,
Inflammation, they say, you know, is such a cause
I'm
of
not
so
going
much.
to start saying that I'm expert in all aspects of this. I'm still relatively new to the whole food plant-based diet. But definitely, I'm going to give you one reference, and that is Dr. Greger and his website, nutritionfacts.org. You mentioned...
Let me see what's in the book. Dr. Greger.
Greger. He's got a book there, and he does podcasts. He reviews every health topic you care to name, and what he does is he intensively researches everything related to diet and that condition, and he gives a very unbiased factual summary. And you know, a lot of people have opinions. He goes by facts, and he's one of the people who really turned me on to the whole food plant-based stuff. Because it's not opinion; it is fact. It is proven.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
So I'll address that a little bit.
Sure.
So because of the high amount of phytochemicals and antioxidants in a whole food plant-based diet, coupled with the low amount of inflammatory animal proteins, hormones, chemicals, and the heme iron, that's the difference. That's what makes the difference. So an animal-based standard American diet is high in those inflammatory compounds. They cause inflammation in your arteries. It causes inflammation in your organs. And inflammation, the word for that really means cell damage. That's what that word means. It doesn't mean swollen ankle.
Right.
So inflammation is thought to be the underlying cause of many of the conditions that we have in terms of, as you said, coronary artery disease, the plaque that builds up. It's because of the inflammation in the lining of the arteries.
Yeah.
Cancers, many of those are brought on in conditions of chronic inflammation.
So when you check C-reactive protein and IGF-1, those are markers of inflammation.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can bring those down through a whole food plant-based diet. The anti-inflammatory nature of the plant foods is what does that.
So does the animal fat does that affect the wall of the cell membrane, or how does that?
It causes cell damage. Yes, the telomeres, all of that. It causes cell damage.
Antioxidants, remember that slide where I showed you where things come from? Antioxidants come from plants.
Only.
Oxidation is whenever there's many chemical reactions. Dr. Greger describes it as sparks flying off from a reaction. So these sparks are flying off from all these chemical reactions. These sparks are doing damage. And even your normal bodily function produces free radicals.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So what stops those free radicals from doing damage? It's the antioxidants, and where do you get them? You get them from plant-based diets. Is that something okay?
Yes. Does that help?
So in terms of specific recommendations, there are people out there who say that they have specific recommendations for an anti-inflammatory diet. I'm going to defer to Dr. Greger on that one.
Yeah.
He has an app
Good
as well.
question.
If anybody, he has an app.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
It's
down
called
to
the
Dr.
Daily
Greger's
Dozen.
Daily Dozen?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you can go and check off how many servings you've had.
Yeah.
Right.
But you
Yeah.
were talking about the oncologist, and
Yeah.
I have this, because I have to let it out, I get upset about it. But I deliver to the oncologist on Cortez on Medical Boulevard, Medical Plaza, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And I deliver their medicine early in the morning, their first overnight packages and stuff. And they'll have all the chairs set up for the people that come in for the chemo. But if you look right next door,
Mhm.
they're catered every morning by Panera and Chick-fil-A. Every morning.
Yeah.
And
That's
I'm
my
like, how
point.
can you serve
They don't know.
this
Yeah.
and you have people here, and then there's candy at the nurse's station.
They
have-
give it all to the patients. I'm telling you the truth.
it really makes me sad, and I hate the fact that I have to go through in there, to deliver the medicine, and I feel like those people should be left alone. I don't know, it's
Well, yeah, so we're going to be actually participating in an organization that's going to be trying to do more education, and one of the places where I'm hoping to make a difference is actually at these cancer centers, because you're right. They actually, I'll be honest with you, the oncologists are not trained in nutrition. They don't know.
and they're popping
And
up everywhere.
they
these
just
oncologists
regurgitate
talk.
whatever is the popular myth.
Right.
And, some of my kidney failure patients, and the dialysis center is telling them, eat more chicken,
Yes.
okay?
My kidney doctor will still tell me if I have talked to him about a whole-based diet.
Yep.
No, I still want you to eat some chicken, and I still want you to eat some fish.
Yeah,
I said, but read the statistics.
So with all respect to my colleagues, we are very ignorant. I was very ignorant until I decided to go out and learn this stuff, okay?
Yes, you have to go learn it.
Look
Yeah.
at how they promote yogurt. I mean, yogurt, it's one of the worst things.
Well,
Yes.
it's like,
What's the name of the app again?
Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen.
Yeah, he doesn't. So he's researched what are healthy foods, and he's kind of given a checklist of these groups of foods you want to have in your daily diet if you can. And so,
Sugar.
yep. So Dr. Greger, definitely worth everyone going and see. In fact, on YouTube, and some of my slides were actually taken from him with his permission. He has How Not to Die, his lecture tour.
And you can see that on YouTube.
If you're someone who likes fats like I do, I mean that was the thing that really shifted me to a whole food plant-based diet.
And for me, it was forks over knives and watching What the Health. And for many, many people, watching those documentaries can be a first overarching understanding of what we're talking about here. And I like that it's presented by the physicians themselves.
Yes.
And here's the thing. We've all been brought up to eat meat and cheese. We were all brought up the same way. We don't know any better. But once you know better, you can then do better. So, do you remember the name of the documentaries? Do you want me to repeat it?
I've seen all of them.
You've seen them all?
Oh my God, I have
Oh,
like
yeah,
on
forks
TV,
on
so I
knives.
get
What
to
the
see
hell?
all of them.
Okay, but here's the thing, seeing them all and not doing the thing means
Yeah.
there's a disconnect somewhere and you gotta think about
Well,
what is that?
Right, and when like I was telling you, it's community based. It's more like I can go home with this information, but then when I get home, it's like maybe if they were more like how you do the potlucks.
Yeah.
Like I have the book, I have the How Not to Die cookbook, but I don't have anybody else to share it with.
I invited you to every
Oh
one of
my
those
gosh.
potlucks with
Did
your
you?
husband, yes.
Oh yeah.
So have your husband
You and
watched
I
them?
have
Has
to
he
get
watched any of
Okay,
those?
because I have the cookbook.
Has your husband watched those documentaries with
He's
you?
watched all of them, and he goes right back to eating meat.
Yeah.
And then he'll do it when he's going out.
There are some people who are unwilling to
Yeah.
change, and
Yes.
unfortunately, amongst our patients, what I've seen is the women are often more open-minded towards adopting a
Yeah.
plant-based diet.
Yeah.
The male partner still digs in their heel because they think that eating meat is macho,
Not manly.
and
Not
and
true.
I
you
think
know
it's
not
more of an
eating
emotional,
meat is
spiritual
somehow
thing
going to
as well.
deprive them of something.
Yeah.
And they're wrong, but unfortunately it makes it more difficult.
It does.
If you can enroll partner or enroll someone in the family to be with you, that definitely is how it can be.
But I will tell you, I did it myself. I had teenagers and a husband who was a big meat and potatoes guy. I did it myself. If you want something bad enough, you will do it for yourself. And if you can work on your self-esteem and your self-image and know that you can make a difference in your own life and take your power back, then you do it for yourself. And not use family as an excuse.
Although I have to say that both of you, you and I went through life-changing events,
Yeah.
and that is what triggered us, and that's a really powerful motivator. So unless you're in a health
But
problem
she's
situation,
in a health situation.
Yeah,
He's
so-
in a health situation. Many of that of us are in health situations. So
So-
you don't have to wait until you're sitting in a chemo chair or having a stent.
right?
Right, like what did Judy say? Don't wait. Yeah.
Very good. All right.
That's it for
last,
tonight.
Last question.
Oh,
Yeah,
last
we'll wrap
question.
up.
Yeah, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but, so basically you have to really cook all your meals, you really can't go out to eat.
No, that is not true.
That's
Well,
not.
it's hard,
I am.
Naomi. It's hard to go out for
Well,
breakfast.
you don't have my
It's
chart.
tough.
You don't
It's-
know.
It's,
You-
I mean, it's pancakes, pancakes, pancakes.
No, it's not What do you think I get when I go out? What do I get?
Oatmeal.
Well,
I could get oatmeal.
But I can eat that at home.
What else could I
A
get?
bowl of fruit.
A bagel. I eat that at home.
Okay, you wanna know what I get?
What?
Okay, I get, the hash browns, what do you, home fried potatoes. And then I say to the guy, give me a double batch with as many vegetables as you have in the kitchen. What do you have? And he'll say, we have spinach, we have mushrooms, we have, red peppers, we have this, that, and the other thing. And I'll say, all of that. And I get this giant plate of that. And then I say, don't put any oil on mine. And that's what I get. And it's delicious.
Yeah, I believe you, but it is not easy.
You're right.
It's not easy.
Eating out is really difficult. Travel is difficult.
Travel.
You have to plan. You have to plan. Definitely.
If I'm gonna go to because I have high blood pressure, I have very high salt in my blood. So if I'm gonna go out to dinner, I'll say where are we going, and I'll pick out my meal before I leave the house to the restaurant.
Smart.
And I tell them this is how I want it cooked.
Good for you.
So there's no salt on it.
So, if you evaluate the menus of the places you like to go, you can then pick out what are appropriate plant-based meals, and you come to know it. I'm not gonna sit here and make an excuse that it's too hard and so I won't do it. I'm not gonna do that. I am a real-life coach, and I do coach people through their workday, through eating out, through having parties, through all kinds of emotional upsets and this and that, but I don't stand for excuses. So I won't say that it's hard, because it's not.
So can you come home?
Okay, all right.
You're new
No,
at it.
no,
I feel like
no, I agree. You have much more experience. All I'm saying is that I think it is a change. It's not insurmountable.
It's
And
not
I
insurmountable.
think that
Yeah.
If you have someone to help you through it, it does make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
There's
Can you
a
just-
learning curve. There is, and
It's a learning curve, I like that.
And
It's
then your
breaking old
family tells
habits.
you you're over the top. They tell me you're over the top.
Well, what ended up happening with my husband is that, once I went to the coaching certification in New York City, I came back, and while I was gone, he had been to his doctor visit, and all of a sudden found out that he had high cholesterol for the first time in his life. And he has heart disease and lung cancer in his family. And so when I came back, he knew, Mike, why don't you grab some food before we put it away? Go, go, go.
No, I came for that.
I know you came for the food.
Busy working on the cardiac
I know.
today.
So he had this high cholesterol, and he knew when I came back, I was going to be like serious. And so when I came back, he picked me up from the airport, and he was like, you know what? I think I'm going to start eating what you're eating. And I was really scared because, I really had to kick up my cook, and I thought I better cook it good or I'm screwed with this. So I started giving him what I was giving him, and what happened was miraculous, which is something we never thought was going to happen. But my husband suffers from allergies. Karen, you've heard him tell the story, right?
I've heard
My husband suffers from debilitating allergies, Claritin all day, sneezing. He even had a swollen brow that we thought that was just his face. It turned out not to be his face.
Same happened to me. I
Yeah.
couldn't go outside.
Couldn't
I was
go
on all sorts of
outside.
allergy medication.
Yeah.
Plant-based, eventually, no more.
So what happened was my husband, on about week 3, he stopped needing his Claritin and his other things, whatever they were. And he stopped sneezing, and he stopped sniffling and blowing his nose. And we were like, hey, what happened? And he was like, I think it's the food. And I was like, oh my God, it's the food? And so he's never had a problem with his allergies again. And then when he went back to the doctor, in about 6 months, they tested his blood again, and all of his cholesterol levels were back down into the normal. So he reversed his starting heart disease. He reversed his allergy problem that was lifelong. It was debilitating to him. He could not hardly breathe. And he was furious to find out that no doctor ever told him that for 4 years, since he was a child. So there's much more you can look forward to aside from the medical evidence here that we're talking about today. What I've seen in patients, and I don't promise this, but what I've seen in the clients that I work with, and even the ones I don't work with, just the ones in my group who post about, their experiences, headaches go away, menstrual symptoms go away, menopause symptoms go away, digestive problems of all types disappear, and allergies go away. All those kinds of things, and even depression and anxiety, like I had that fear of cancer coming back. I don't have that anymore. I'm not afraid.
There's actual studies which show that depression rates are much higher in people who eat junk foods.
Yeah.
And you can actually take a bunch of depressed people, put them on a whole food plant-based diet, and you can see improvements in mood related just to change in diet.
But here's the thing with that. Not only does it actually work inside your brain and your body, but the feeling of taking back the power over your health also relieves the anxiety and makes you happy and excited for what are you eating next. It all goes hand in hand, and so even like bravery and career aspirations and interests and new things can happen when you adopt this way of eating that you don't even know are going to happen yet. So with that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out to meet us tonight. Who is in the healthcare industry that was interested in the weight loss program? And
Okay.
Educator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
All right. Did you mark down whether you are in the healthcare industry?
No, I didn't.
Could you go back and mark
Sure.
that down there? And did you have one more question you wanted to ask?
I'm kind of doing this healthcare thing, and I've been working with the wrong doctors, but I see that now. But I've been reading about them, I've been studying my book, and I'll tell you, it's amazing what you've gotta get this out to people.
That's what we're doing.
Yes,
So
the
now,
doctors
there's
don't know
only,
anything.
there's only 10 people here. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
people don't
You know,
realize.
it surprised me,
Didn't say
if I, no, just tonight,
Oh.
that when you tell people, hey, you can, get rid of your diabetes and you can get off your cholesterol and heart medications, if that was me, I'd be running to find out how can I do that.
Yeah,
And yet so many people are fixed in their ways and in their heads, I can't change. They've
They-
told themselves
Yeah,
that.
they can't
told,
They tell,
and it doesn't
and
matter
it's
what
not
you
true.
eat.
It's not true. You can change, and you will. After the transition, you
You
will
will
love.
feel it.
You will love the plant-based diet. You are not depriving yourself of anything.
Were you
You're gonna-
deprived eating this?
You're gonna enjoy.
Have more.
You're gonna actually enjoy it more. I enjoy my food more now than I ever have
Ever
before.
did before,
Yeah.
ever. Yeah.
I need to talk to you afterwards.
Anybody who's looking for a new physician, Dr. Banwatt is open now.
You take Cigna?
Cash patients,
I actually,
all of the above, right?
we weren't actually taking that, but you know what I'm looking for? I want to work with people who want to change.
Yes.
So yes, I will take anyone who's, or even self-pay, that's fine.
I'm ready.
All right. Thank you for
All right,
coming,
thank you very
everybody.
much.
Thank you.
Take that for you.
Well, I did look up, you do take Aetna, right?
Yes.
Yes, there.
And it's